What is the difference between sparkingzero and Xenoverse 2? So, I've been seeing a lot of this question on the various Dragon Ball game subreddits, and I thought it could be a good idea to throw this together to explain it. The question here is a fairly simple one to answer, but maybe not as surface level as I thought. Xenoverse 2 and sparkingzero are both Dragon Ball arena fighters, and their similarities sort of end there. Xenoverse is an action RPG. There's a focus on online multiplayer content, raid-type battles, and the comment is, let's just say, simple. sparkingzero, as well as the entire Budokai Tenkaichi series, always boasted a large roster, 1v1 battles where you select a team of fighters across all eras of the series, and emphasized fun over balance.
Oh my god! Shenron! Oh, that attack is so sick.
But that never stopped it from garnering a decent-sized competitive scene. But in this video, we're going to break it down even further, using what the games have in common to explain what makes them different. Xenoverse's story breaks down to basically you, the player, create your own character, a Saiyan, a human, an Namekian, a Buu, or a Frieza. That's just what they're called, I guess. And you become part of the Time Patrol, where you become best friends with Trunks from the future and the Supreme Kai of Time, and you get sent to clean up anomalies across the time stream. The base story takes place over 13 core missions, plus a prologue and an interlude. But since the game's release in 2016, there's been a ton of content updates that have expanded and continued the story. But most of these missions are, oh no, this hot demon made Yamcha evil and now you have to stop them. In sparkingzero, the core story is called Episode Battle. This mode takes you through the story of Dragon Ball Z and Super, and you can choose one of 8 characters to live the story through their perspective. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks, Frieza, Goku Black, and Jiren. As you play through their portion of the story, you engage in the iconic battles from the series. However, there will be opportunities to stray from the canon and take battles in a different direction. They said that the length of each of these stories will vary based on the character, with Goku's naturally being the longest. Xenoverse 2 really shines in its multiplayer. It's basically an MMORPG after all. There's tons of stuff to do in the game beyond the story. You have the bulk, which is the parallel quest, condensed and tailored what-if fights which take you all over the Dragon Ball universe. Here you can play as your favorite character or your custom fighter alongside 2 other characters of your choosing, and there are a ton of these things. There's like so many of them. And by playing the parallel quests, you can earn unlockables to customize your guy. New skills, powers, and money, which you can use to buy stuff, like hats, shirts, pants, crafting items, and abilities for your create a character. Even further beyond PQs, you can engage in online battles, wander the wide-open hub of Kanton City, train with iconic characters to learn their moveset, join raids, do emotes, do whatever battle simulator is, and more. On the sparking end of things, once you get done with the story, what's left is a pretty straightforward selection of modes. Online and offline battles, tournament mode, and custom battles. In online and offline battles, you'll select a team of up to 5 fighters, and you take on an enemy team of the same amount of fighters. There is DP battle, which gives each character a cost and you a set amount of points to use to build your team with, or you can just freeball it and pick all the Gojitas and the God characters. In tournament mode, you select a fighter and you go through a bracket-style tournament to try to take supremacy over CPUs, or real players you decimate along the way. And lastly, there's Custom Battle. Custom Battle is personally where I think the longevity of this game will come from. This gives you the ability to create scenarios and what-if battles. Here, you can select battle win conditions, adjust the difficulty and power of the opponents. Basically, everything about the battle can be adjusted. It even gives you the ability to create little cutscenes before the battle with a ton of pre-made dialogue options. Honestly, it's kind of like a parallel quest creator. So, the roster. Like I said before, the Budokai Tenkaichi games have always boasted a massive roster, and love including oddball characters like Pilaf Machine and Frieza Soldier. But Xenoverse's roster isn't anything to scoff at, though these games treat characters very differently. Xenoverse 2's base roster included 88 characters, not including the up to 8 custom characters you can create, and most characters have multiple outfits which give them different abilities and transformations. For example, this game's main version of Goku has a ton of costumes, and his first one, he only has basic attacks and no transformations. You move a little bit further into his options and he gets the Kaioken, and then even further he gets Super Saiyan, which the Super Saiyan transformation in this game increases based on how much ki you have when you activate it. A couple bars will send you into Super Saiyan 1, a few more Super Saiyan 2, and a little more will get you Super Saiyan 3. I always hated this, by the way. The roster now is 135 characters, and there's more on the way. Now, sparkingzero, on the other hand, has a base roster of 182 characters, with more confirmed on the way. Now, to be fair, the roster has 19 Gokus and 14 Vegetas, but that's because they count transformations as their own characters. In contrast to Xenoverse 2, where transformations are simply a buff applied to your character and slightly alter their appearance. In the Tenkaichi series, transformations play a different function. They completely change the character. Not only do you get to change how you look and get to watch a sick animation when it happens, you get an entirely new moveset and your stats change. Side note, I see this question a lot too, of why not just start in the most powerful transformation? And the answer is because starting in base gives you a couple different benefits. First, it just makes the battle more fun. You get to change the pace of the fight as you go, and you get to create this sense of becoming stronger as the fight gets more intense. And two, it actually makes your stats better. Starting in base and transforming up to Super Saiyan Blue makes that version of Super Saiyan Blue stronger than if you just started at Super Saiyan Blue regularly. It's an incentive to not just pick the strongest version of a character. Just a little fun fact that I feel like not a lot of people know. Let's continue. And let's be honest, Xenoverse isn't totally guilt-free of this either. There may only be 7 Gokus compared to sparkingzero's 19, but just the regular Goku has 18 costumes, all of which only serve to give him a minor appearance alteration and a new move or transformation here and there. At the end of the day, both rosters are loaded with characters, some more unique feeling than others, and that's true for both games. Both rosters are going to experience stock to some degree. And what I mean by stock are moves that can just be slapped onto characters because there isn't much else to give them. These are your full power energy waves, energy volleys, explosive waves, you know the ones. And both games are guilty of padding the roster with these moves, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But it's fine. These things happen when you get into crazy high character numbers like these games do. Finally, it's time to talk actual gameplay. What buttons to press, how satisfying they are to play, what the moment-to-moment is going to feel like. Starting with Xenoverse, the gameplay is fine. It serves its purpose. You have a basic combo string, ki blasts that have a charge attack that can vary, 4 super abilities, usually one is reserved to charge ki, so really most of the time you only have 3. And then you get 2 ultimate slots, an evasive slot, and a transformation slot, all of which are totally customizable on your creative character. I've played a lot of Xenoverse and I never felt the combat was that deep. I definitely opted to spam ki blast from a distance and only getting close when I had to. I played the game for over 200 hours like that. It's satisfying enough to keep you engaged, but for me it was always more fun to change up the moves my creative character had, or just play as the various Dragon Ball characters. I personally don't really care about having the objective strongest move or optimizing my kit. I just like the flashy animations and watching the health bars just vanish. Sparking, on the other hand, and the rest of the BT series are honestly surprisingly in-depth with their combat systems. This goes on for a while. Most characters have the same core moveset from a button pressing perspective. Everyone has a blast 1 and 2, which are usually a utility move like solar flare or buffs like high tension or pump up. Then everyone has 2 supers, which can be ki blasts, beams, explosions, or rush attacks. Your kamehamehas and meteor crashes go here. And then every character has their ultimate move, which you can access by charging your ki past full and entering sparking mode. But beyond supers and blasts, combo strings can get very intricate. There's a lot of freedom in how you choose to engage. Getting in close and getting a combo can stagger your opponent and let you deal bukus of damage. But if they manage to properly time a Z counter, that can instantly refill their ki gauge and leave you on the receiving end of some real damage. The combat system accounts for so many different varieties of play. There's clashes, beam struggles, snap vanish duels that test your timing, character swapping, sort of like fighters. And like I said before, if you get tired of one moveset, go ahead and go Super Saiyan and you can get a leg up on your opponent. Hell, even some transformations give you health buffs or refill your ki gauge. But regardless of how all that sounds, I have to make this clear. Sparkingzero isn't balanced, and that's by design. This series of games has always had a philosophy of fun first. It's not so much meant to be a competitive fighter as it is to be a Dragon Ball simulator. It's trying to emulate the feeling of these crazy large-scale battles with all the tiny details that really put you in the shoes of the character you choose. But that isn't to say the game can't be competitive. Competition is bred wherever it can take root, and the BT series has an excellent competitive scene. And honestly, I'm not present in it, so I don't have much to say on the competitive side of things, but YouTuber Kadazi actually just released a video called Ranking All 161 Characters in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and he goes into a lot of detail on the competitive scene there. Hi, I'm recording this after the fact just because I didn't mention it at all during the video, but another key difference between the sparkingzero and the Xenoverse 2 combat system is that in Xenoverse, because it's a primarily online game, whenever you do a super attack, it's real time. There's mechanics for countering, stamina breaking, just a whole bunch of stuff in order to play around the fact that when you fire off a beam, even though you're standing still while you're firing the beam, your opponent can close in, do an attack of their own, something else like that, even if you appear to be in a cutscene. However, in sparkingzero, most super attacks are not real time. It will pause the action to do the animation, and then something like a beam firing, or somebody dashing towards each other. Of course, there is still going to be opportunities for those two characters to connect and clash, but once something like a rush attack hits, or some of the ultimate type key blasts, then you'll enter into a cutscene, and you'll both be frozen into watching that cutscene. That's all, back to it. Well, that's it. Those are really the core differences between Xenoverse and sparkingzero. At the end of the day, they are both arena fighters, but they play so vastly different. And by the time you're watching this, sparkingzero is probably out. And I'm probably live streaming it. So if you're watching this and you're still on the fence about sparkingzero, come check out one of my lives or check out my other content. If watching this video is what finally got you to pull the trigger on sparkingzero, consider throwing a like or a sub my way. We're trying to grow as much as possible, and it really helps me out a lot. I also love playing these games with my community, so if you stick around in the future, you can join tournaments, submit a what if that you make in sparkingzero, and viewers can challenge me to 1v1s on stream. So if any of that sounds cool to you, definitely stick around. But this has been a super fun and unique challenge for me. I've never done anything like this before, and I'd be interested to see what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you want to see more stuff like this. But thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and of course, as always, see you next time.